It was a kind of a ramp up in power, much like he is in game. We'll have to see this weekend if teams really prioritize that in Europe as well. I definitely know they like the pick, but in terms of the draft itself, we're about to find out exactly what they prioritize.
Yeah, already immediately getting rid of the Adagio. You can see Rising Lotus, they don't want to deal with the Lyra, and there you go, Samuel right away.
Yeah, we just talked about all these picks. Adagio, Lyra, Samuel, priorities amongst all the teams. And with the first pick on the Team Secret with Samuel, Lotus is going to have to really think about how they handle this pick. Skye does seem like it's the initial answer, but they still have another pick to do.
Yeah, Skye is one of those picks that can flex very well between the jungle and the lane, so there's still a lot of options. Even Samuel can do the same thing. There's actually quite a few flex picks on the current patch, but it looks like it is going to be that Finn prioritized.
Yeah, and with the Finn coming in, I'm curious if this is going to be a Crystal Skye or a weapon. I definitely think Finn is traditionally used in that Crystal Skye combo to help kind of defend her as she Suri strikes around the battlefield, but here maybe is a Lance coming in for Team Secret. I would like to see this. If they do pick it up, which they do, Samuel and Lance on Team Secret, those are two heroes you don't really want to give to the #1 seed.
Not only that, but again, flex picks. Both of those can go either lane or jungle, so you have no idea which one you're going to have, and you have to try and round out your composition based on that. Although, if this Kestrel comes through, well, I think that kind of gives us an idea.
Yeah, I definitely think it does, but well, once again, we still won't know until we hit the game, but I would love to see that Kestrel in lane with the Samuel jungle and Lance. The pressure coming out of there will be insane. It's going to be very hard for Rising Lotus to last pick something that's going to go into this, but they need something that's going to have some tank factor, and I think Ringo might be a risky play and to finalize this with, but we'll have to see.
All right, so final thoughts as we get this one going?
I definitely think Team Secret takes it from draft. Lotus has a big hill.
Yeah, not just draft, but Team Secret. They're a favorite for a reason. I think this one's going to go to them.
All right, so with the calls, it's going to be our first set of pairs, Action, Jackson, and Xingye.
Thank you very much. Four-court, exciting game to kick things off today, Xingye. We've got Team Secret, #1 seed coming in, 3-time champion up against the Rising Stars, Rising Lotus. I think I want to talk to you about the draft before we hop into the game, though. Looking at the jungle pairings, we actually heard our analysts talking about this. It seems like in the 2 versus 2, it could be a struggle for Rising Lotus here.
I really think so, and I've seen Team Secret play in this comp before with Kestrel and Lance. They usually like to maintain a lot of pressure very early on, but I do think Rising Lotus is that Finn. They don't really want to be going to the late game there, so it's going to be a bit of an issue.
All right, on to the fold, ladies and gentlemen, for Team Secret versus Rising Lotus. This is our first versus our 8th seed. Could be a difficult game for Lotus, but they got a lot to prove here. Xingye, we're on to the fold now. Kavalifar's actually taken the Samuel up to the lane. We're going to have a pause real quick. Just going to work that out. Let's talk about this lane Samuel, though. I think a lot of people probably would have expected, actually, the inverse of this with Kestrel going up towards the lane. Do you like Samuel in lane here?
I do. We've seen a lot, mostly lane Samuels. We've seen one jungle Samuel played by Von C in the last weekend, and I prefer him in lane, personally. I think it's a little bit easier to get that drifting dark onto your opponents, and especially against the Ringo, he's going to be able to harass that Ringo constantly.
Yeah, Corrupted Genius, his heroic perk, is so good in lane if you can actually consistently land it. Now, you do have to get into basic attack range, which can be risky sometimes, but against certain heroes, ones with maybe a little bit lower range, very, very effective. We will sort out this pause very shortly, ladies and gentlemen, but looking at the rest of the drafts that came in here, the Lance and Kestrel both being in the jungle certainly, I think, lends a lot of power, not dependent on a Drifting Dark cooldown, which is a big difference.
Definitely. I think the one issue here is Kestrel, she's going to be struggling to land her Glimmer shots there onto this guy who has a lot of mobility, so I think that's going to be very difficult for them. But I have seen Palmatora's Kestrel before. It's very terrifying to watch, and I'm in no doubt that if anyone's going to be landing their Glimmer shots, it's going to be him.
And so Finn and Kestrel as sorry, not Finn and Kestrel, Finn and Skye as a combination. How do you like that here? Because Skye certainly is something that can struggle against Lance. You move in a very predictable manner when you're trying to get those forward barrages down that can make impales easy. If the impale does not land, do you think they stand a chance?
Definitely. If she just uses her Suri strikes to avoid, the Suri strike out the way, that's going to be very good. And Finn there, he's going to have to stand a little bit further ahead, make sure he's not standing on top of her, and that way he's going to be acting as a good front line there with the Quibble. If they get a little bit too close to Skye, use a polite company.
All right, that makes sense. So as a whole, the composition coming out from Rising Lotus, obviously you've got the Ringo, the Skye, and the Finn. There's a lot of damage here, but what my concern is, I suppose, is that it could be hard to position appropriately when you've got to worry about the Lance, tumbling onto your back line. How does the perfect fight work out? How do they actually get into the good position?
Well, for them is, I think for Team Secret, they need to keep the early game. They want to apply as much pressure very early on and just keep maintaining that. A lot of the teams I see, they do that very well at the start, but then it's just let go of it and they lose their foothold, and that's when the other team just starts powering through. For Team Secret, they need to get that impel down on Skye or Ringo. They're very high damage heroes, and if you can target one of them down, it's going to be very easy. But I think for them is the problem once they get into the late game, Finn, he's going to be having that hook constantly every 20 seconds. You're not going to be able to block every single one of them. And for either Samuel or Kester to get pulled in, it's going to be very devastating for Team Secret.
Yeah, Samuel, a hero that once you're actually in the thick of things, can be a bit of a struggle to play properly. You don't have any inherent mobility on your kit. Maybe using Oblivion can get you out of a sticky situation sometimes, but it has quite a long wind-up time. It's in the air for a good amount of time. So a bit of a struggle. We are looking like we're back onto the fold, ladies and gentlemen. Team Secret up against Rising Lotus. Let's kick this one right back off.
Well, Valfar, with that Samuel, I think he's going to be doing a really good job with the Drifting Dark. Ringo, he's a very early game hero. He's poking a lot. He can do a lot of damage. But Samuel, he's going to be doing a good job with the Drifting Dark just to keep him away.
We've actually seen Kvalifar use his heroic perk, I think, twice on Keanu. And when you use it on an enemy hero versus just a minion, it has a much greater effect. Mowgli does spawn out Yichin as they move towards the lane. But Kvalifar's got to be careful here. He could get jumped on. 3 people from Rising Lotus want to give him a little bit of attention.
Yeah, he is staying well back though, but I think because he does have his Drifting Darkness, he doesn't have that ability to zone, so he does have to be careful of his positioning right now. I do like what Rising Lotus are doing here with their positioning themselves, trying to get the early kill. The way he's standing, I just don't think they're going to get it.
Have a look at the number of potions that Kvalifar has relative to the number that Keanu has. Keanu isn't even full health, and he's used both of his potions. Kvalifar is full with 1 in the bank. That's the power of Corrupted Genius as a heroic perk. It gives you so much presence in lane, and I would imagine that's a big part of the reason why Rising Lotus are thinking of sending people up here so early. They know that Samuel is a massive bully early game.
Yeah, we're seeing Team Secret here taking the early invade, well, a partial invade. They're only going to get the front camps there. But I think they're the ones that might be able to pull off the very under a turret gank here.
Yeah, Mowgli, if he lands this Impale, could get followed up here. Drifting Dark popped immediately. Keanu is going to get obliterated. Great rotation early on from Team Secret. There just wasn't vision available this early from Rising Lotus to deal with it.
Yeah, and Keanu, I don't think there was anything that he could have done about it. He's standing in the turret. That Impale just landed straight on there. But I think what is interesting is that he's seeing a Crystal Ringo here.
This is a very Europe thing. We've seen it a few times here. It's less common over in North America. Of course, we didn't see Ringo hardly at all in the North American Championships. Let's talk a little bit about that Crystal Ringo. Obviously, it functions very differently from Weapon Power.
Very differently. And I think the thing with a Crystal Ringo is he's going to be standing well in the back. And if you've got a Weapon Ringo, you're going to be seeing him getting right in front of Kvalfar's face, just kiting away. With this Crystal Ringo, he can use his Achilles, he can use his Hellfire Brew from very far apart. It deals a lot of damage and it keeps him safe. But if anyone gets onto him, that is, the end for him.
All right, you can see Team Secret applying a little bit more pressure towards the lane. Mowgli just using Githian Wall for some poke damage because he knows, of course, that he can't actually knock Prez back on that Finn. He could have a fight developing here. Drifting Dark pop on the back line. Kvalifar is quite low health right now, but he's not going to be able to go in there and finish off Prez or Keanu. Both teams just playing it quite safe. Palma, if he just had one more Glimmer Shot there, could have maybe looked for the kill.
Anyway, they're doing a really good job poking there. I think they were able to push Keanu and Pete Prez there very, very low. And Yitran's, I think, the only one there with a good attempt of trying to pick up a kill. But Team Secret, they're still good. They're poking away. And, ouch.
Kvalifar, if he lands some of these Malice and Verdicts with the Drifting Dark, could do a lot of damage. Keanu is very low. But Rising Lotus, they desperately want to defend the turret for now. Yichin finds some nice forward barrage poke. It's not going to be enough for anyone else. Oh, Kvalifar! Absolute snipe there onto Keanu Nakoa. With the man advantage, they might look to push here.
Yeah, I think he should have gone back a lot earlier. He wasn't going to be doing anything if he get too close. That he was going to die just like he did there, and just leave Yitran just to farm up there. I think it's just leaving them in very vulnerable positions.
Look at this, Kvalifar back to a very healthy total of life right now, right up to full, even though in the initial exchange between the two teams, he was taken down to maybe a quarter health. Again, I don't want to harp on it, but you can really see Corrupted Genius doing some good work. He has shopped now, has a lot of his items that are going to enable him to go back to lane and put even more pressure onto Keanu. Crystal Power Ringo, how does he function early game compared to Weapon?
I think he takes a lot longer to scale up. Weapon Ringo, I feel like he does fantastically early to mid game, but Crystal Ringo, he really doesn't do that well, and I think he takes a while to scale up, and you have to wait for him to get to level 6 and get the Hellfire Brew.
And actually, I think it's interesting to note that they've also got a weapon power Sky on Rising Lotus. This is something we saw a lot of during the North American Championship. Hang on a second, Mowgli, he's jumping on a Keanu. Great Githian wall right on the edge. Keanu, he surely can't get out of this one, and Palma wants more, but he can't find the glimmer shots onto Yichun. Just going to be him defending against all three members of Team Secret right now. Prez has showed his face, but it might be a little bit too late to make anything happen. Team Secret, at 5 minutes, almost exactly take down the first turret of the game.
It's going to be a very early turret there, but I think one thing that Rising Lotus could do is have Prez up in lane there with Keanu most of the time. We know that Ringo's going to scale later. Having Prez there is going to be acting as an effective front line and let Yichun just kind of level up, get the experience and gold that he needs.
All right, you can see Mowgli running into the enemy jungle here, just trying to keep tabs on where Rising Lotus are rotating, what camps they're trying to do. Gonna have backup from Palmatoro quite soon, who's level 6 already. Has one shot, one kill. If maybe they get into a situation where it's a close trade, he could go for that one. Good impale out of Mowgli. This is a 2 versus 3 right now, but Kvalifar flanking around from the lane. He's not too far away, might want to go back in. Mowgli staying on the front line, looking for that opportunity to go in. Prez, look at the damage he's taking. Impale finds the kill. Mowgli leads his team to 4-0 right now. Team Secret are just relentless in this early game.
Yeah, they're absolutely unstoppable. And I think the thing is, you know, when Team Secret are this far ahead, what happens is I feel like they kind of go out of position. Sometimes they become very bold, but I think the other team just have this mentality about being so scared about Team Secret. You know, there's plenty of opportunities there for them to try and pick up a kill, but we just saw no aggression coming out.
All right, with the drifting dark pop, Kvalifar looking to pressure this turret a little bit. So much splash damage onto Keanu Nakoa. He needs to get out of here right now. You got to remember, one shot, one kill is available for Palmatoro if he wants to try and snipe someone down. But right now, the target is going to be the turret. That's the Oblivion. It lands onto Yichun. Prez needs to body block for that potential one shot. Here it comes. Is it going to thread the needle? No. Prez does block out the kill. Yichun gets out of there. But again, pressure is the name of the game for Team Secret.
Yeah, I see this happening a lot in their split games. That what happens is they push the turrets right down to that choke point turret, and they just take control of the jungle, take the gold mine consistently, and wait for the Kraken to come out. We could see them closing out the game earlier, but right now, Kvalifar is out farming Keanu by quite a bit.
Yeah, he's doing an excellent job, sitting at 60 to 46. That's a decent margin. You got to remember that as you push towards your opponent's base, they can farm more easily. Like, it's hard for Team Secret to pressure someone under their team tier 3 turret. That said, the amount of map pressure that Team Secret now have is tremendous. They can take this gold mine for free. There's no way Rising Lotus even contest this.
Yeah, they're definitely not going to contest it. And right now there's a 3.6k gold lead there towards Team Secret at 7 minutes. That's quite impressive. And one thing I don't think we'll be seeing them doing is taking that minion mine away for them to prevent the minions pushing into the turret. They want to keep the minions as far into the mid lane as possible, just to keep Kvalifar farmed up.
Yeah, in all likelihood, that second minion mine will get taken right now as Palmatoro starts it off. I was going to suggest maybe waiting until near Kraken spawn, but that said, when you have this kind of an advantage that Team Secret have accrued this early, maybe they feel like they can just boldly push into the base right away.
Definitely. One thing I could see them doing is picking up those minion candies. I think that's a tactic we see Team Secret doing quite a lot, and certainly helps with the pressure.
All right, Keanu does find a lot of poke damage on Kvalifar there. Yichun as well, but here comes the Drifting Dark. They're looking for it. Forced to core. It all falls in. Both of the carries. The Crucible not on time from Mowgli. Maybe some stage jitters there. Hellfire Brew doing a lot of damage on Palmatoro. Team Secret do have to be careful about overextending here. Impale not going to land. Kvalifar quite low on energy, but he does have Corrupted Genius up and will be able to regenerate a lot of it if he just finds one basic onto an enemy hero. Palma getting poked down like that by the Hellfire has forced Team Secret to back away. Rising Lotus defend for the time being. Yeah,
the really good pushback. They're coming out from Rising Lotus, and I think that Crucible just came a little bit too late, and could have been avoided if they just blocked the Force Accord, but they were able to get away and avoid the quibble for the time being.
Vainglory, like any sport or esport, is a game of inches. Every single, advantage you can take stacks up over time. And Rising Lotus, maybe the fact that Mowgli messed up the Crucible there a little bit can be enough to extend them into a later period of game where they can do some more work. I want to talk about items real quick, Xingyi, because Keanu Nakoa, he's going for this Crystal Ringo, but he's actually gone for an alternating current extremely early. We've seen a lot of differences in how players decide to go for the Crystal build on Ringo. What do you think about this one here?
I personally prefer the build where the Crystal Ringo gets for the Shard Glass first. I feel it offers a little bit more damage. And for these fights, I feel like you're going for a little bit more sustained fights. And you can actually see that with Yichun's build as well, with that breaking point. He only has a 6 sins as a kind of supplementary weapon damage. And what this means is Rising Lotus, they're looking for those prolonged fights. But right now, that just isn't happening. Team Secret, they're just going for the burst.
Yeah, you can see them going for the turret here as well, and it's already so low that I can't imagine Rising Lotus being able to defend a third turret picked up by Team Secret in sub 10 minutes. Notable is the fact that Yichun bought, and just then, right as that turret was being pushed, popped one of those infusions. He's actually going to get jumped on, though. So much damage over the wall from Kovalifar and Palmatoro. Mowgli with a great impale just to set up the fight. Prez and Keanu need to back away into the Sanctuary now with 3 men against 2. Team Secret thinking about pushing even further here. They got to be careful. They don't have a minion wave to work with. Prez has forced a cord, but he's holding on to it, waiting for Yichun to respawn.
Yeah, I think they'd have to be a little bit careful, but that impale was fantastic going through the wall. I don't think many people expect that through the wall anyway. I don't think there's any chance of them finding out that was going to happen. But Yichun didn't have the chance to really use much of his infusion there. And like I said, they really do have to hold it for the late game, but the pressure that Team Secret is applying, I just don't see that happening.
Yeah, right now about 40% of that infusion has been used to no effect. In fact, Yichun even died. So that's 500 gold down the drain when he's already starved and so much of the gold is going towards Keanu. He might not hit his second important item anytime soon. I like the fact that he's gone for the minion foot here. It does give you a guaranteed crit on your next basic, which could be super useful in an important fight maybe around Kraken. But Rising Lotus, they're on the back foot. They really need to come up with something miraculous to get back into the game.
Yeah, definitely. And Palmator, he's built that Aegis now. That's a lot of defense that he has against Keanu, who I feel like hasn't quite properly ramped up yet. And the thing with Rising Lotus is they don't have much defense in return. Keanu, he's very vulnerable to attack, and so is Yichun.
All right, for now, Rising Lotus are just sitting inside of their base. They are far too afraid to exit. With the massive gold differential, you can understand why. Team Secret sitting on 2.6 thousand to Rising Lotus's 18.2. Things are really looking grim for them. This is only game 1, it's a best of 3, but this can't be doing wonders for their morale. Here comes the boots actually activated. Team Secret thinking about going in, looking for any opportunity they can find. Prez the only one taking damage so far this time. Crucible is going to be there, but actually Prez missing the forced accord. Not going to be able to set anything up. Keanu moving on to the front line, find some good attacks on Kovalifar. But he's just going to back away, maybe pick up a few items in the shop real quick.
I feel like they're applying too much pressure to Rising Lotus right outside their base. I feel like it's not a good position to take the fights, especially if they can go back into the base regen anytime they want. And actually, you know, that could very quickly turn into Rising Lotus being the one with the upper hand. And I think they do have to be a little bit cautious. There's 3 minutes for the Kraken to come out. And I think that's something that Team Secret should stick to. They've done it many times before.
Yeah, Team Secret, I do feel like they're testing their luck a little bit here, more than they usually do. Normally we see them just dominate the jungle right now, but not really peek their heads into the base. Against Rising Lotus, they seem to be feeling extremely confident. This is a team, of course, with a huge legacy behind them. The last 3 championships went the way of Team Secret. They're feeling good. That's the minion candies you were talking about. Something I feel like we don't see enough from teams.
Yeah, I feel like minion candies are so useful, and I think that's something that we've seen Cloud9, Hardek do. He does that at the very start. You know, it can be used in a number of different ways, but for this one, they're going to be trying to push that minion wave as far as they can.
All right, Scout Trap takes 1 down, but that's going to be it. Mowgli moving forward here. There's the Drifting Dark. Good poke damage coming out. Keanu extremely low, but a 3-man forced accord. Crucible stops that overdriven Quibble from doing any stuns. Lots of damage there with the Hellfire Brew, but a fountain counters it out from Mowgli. Rising Lotus, they've defended yet again, but they're having to burn a lot of relatively long cooldowns to do so.
Part of me wonders if that's their tactic, that's what Team Secret's trying to do, is force him to use a Hellfire Brew. Because that did actually do a lot of damage to Kovalifar, who did have a reflex block, but it looks like he was trying to block the forced accord.
Yeah, I think he actually stacked his reflex there with Mowgli's Crucible, perhaps, or maybe he used it for the Quibble. So it was certainly a situation where Team Secret could have lost a fight if they stuck around too long. But now that Rising Lotus, Keanu specifically, has 60+ seconds on this Hellfire Brew, Team Secret has a lot of room to move. They could go in for another push. Maybe they just take the gold mine away again. The map is their oyster.
Yeah, and despite them having such a very early lead, you know, those kills really don't say it. 5-0, you wouldn't be thinking that you know, we've almost pushed Rising Lotus down to the last 2 turrets.
The big difference here, I mean, jungle CS is massive. Palmatoro is nearly at 100. Yichun hasn't hit 40 yet. That's a tremendous difference. I understand from Rising Lotus's perspective, when you're that far into the base, you don't have any jungle anymore. You're like, okay, Keanu, he's the laner. We need him to get some farm. But at the same time, it's really difficult to win fights from this position, especially when Keanu is such a single target burst heavy hero.
I definitely agree, but it looks like they're going to be engaging for a fight right now.
Yeah, you can see the Drifting Dark pop there just to help the shove. Kabalafar doing some nice poke onto Keanu. He's actually moving down now, flanking towards the turret. Forced to cord, not going to land. Prez yet again not finding a good one there. Team Secret, they're on the verge of backing away here. Maybe deciding amongst themselves whether they want to just go for the Kraken on spawn. It is up in 30 seconds.
I think they should just go for the Kraken at this point. They are really doing really well applying the pressure, forcing them to use their ultimates, but Keanu, his Hellfire Brew is up, and I think that's part of the reason why they backed away, knowing that was going to be up, and that potentially could be a game changer.
Look at the amount of scout traps on the map right now for Team Secret, especially around the Kraken area. Even though they've been spending so much time in Rising Lotus's base, Mowgli's focus has not been placing those traps down in that area. It's been placing them around the Kraken, and that makes sense because Team Secret, they're playing the long game here. They're trying to set up for this as soon as it spawns. You can see them already hitting it before it even becomes able to take damage. Rising Lotus know what's going on. They're moving up the map a little bit. They want to try and win a Hail Mary fight here. Can they find that opportunity? Prez moves forward. Yichun on the front line as well. Great Gynthian wall. Immediately, Yichun is going to get taken down. Prez can't be stunned, but he is slowed enough that Palmator and Kabalafar are doing insane damage. Keanu, he needs to get out of here too. With 20 plus seconds on the timers, Team Secret are thinking about shoving up this wave.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that, that last fight just really demonstrated what happens when you're so far behind. Yichun, he was just shot down in a second, and he barely has any defense, barely has any attack there. He has a tyrant, he has a breaking point, just not getting the chance to output the damage he wants. And Keanu, I think he's gonna have a really rough time here trying to clear that wave.
I think this should only be one turret safely taken by Team Secret, but they're actually going to go in for both here. Drifting Dark popped. They're trying to get the damage down. Hellfire Brew is reflex blocked. Palmator not going to take as much as he might want there. Keanu jumped on. Great impale out of Mowgli. That's the first kill of the fight for Team Secret. They don't need much more to end the game right here, right now, but Yichun is going to back away onto the Sanctuary. Team Secret, they're going for the turret. Yichun needs to get back into this fight. Try and get the damage down. Kabalafar stunned up on the backside, but Yichun is just being zoned by Mowgli. Look at the amount of work that this Lance is doing right here. Team Secret take down Game 1 in commanding fashion. That was an incredible performance to kick off the championships.
Perfect game for them. That must be a great start, exactly.
And you see here, no deaths on Team Secret. They went 8-0. Very dominant performance. Rising Lotus, they had some moments where they looked all right to me. I mean, they were able to find some good force to cords. The damage out of Keanu was pretty significant, but at no point was it enough for them to take a kill. And moving into Game 2, I think they need to take a hard look at their drafting. That'd be where I'd start.
Yeah, I think they went too much for a late game focus there, especially with that Ringo. And what we saw Team Secret do was they placed a lot of pressure on the lane instead of the jungle, as I thought they would starve Keanu very effectively and take the 2 turrets within the first 6 minutes of the game very quickly.
You can see here at the end of the game, at 16.5 minutes, Yichun only had 49 farm. Palmator was over 100. Kabalafar had a lead, but it was by no means that extensive. Itemization-wise, only the one tier 3